3 life lessons I learned from my parents after I retired. I wish I learned them sooner. My parents taught me so many life lessons while they were living, but it's the ones I learned after they passed that stick with me and changed my life forever.
You know, don't you wish, and maybe you all feel this way too, don't you wish you could tell them how those life lessons have kind of become the fabric of your life? And now in retirement, I know sometimes when I open my mouth to say something, it's almost like my mom falls out, you know, like, and I'm like, I can't believe I just said that. I sound just like my mother in a good way. I don't mean in a bad way. And maybe you have that experience too, but now that they're gone, it's almost like these lessons become brighter, clearer, you know, easier to implement. You know, you really tend to make them your own.
You know, I think back on my oldest memories of my mom, and she was a happy person, a loving person, a forgiving person, a warm and friendly person. She had a huge heart, and that's what everyone said about her at her funeral. And when I go back and think about growing up, you know, in the first, second grade, kindergarten, maybe I've got some memories, the birthday parties in the backyard, but all through elementary school and middle school and high school, she was that mom that loved my friends and always cooked meals for them. I remember once she invited my second grade teacher over for lunch. I was so embarrassed, and the school was right down the street, so she actually was able to walk there. But my mom just wanted to be inclusive with everybody.
What's your first visual memory, like that you can close your eyes and picture a memory?
My first, I would say my most memorable memory of her all the time was her being on the beach surrounded by my kids. She loved the grandchildren, my kids, my brother's kids, my sister's kids. And that was her happy place, to have the 9 grandchildren sitting around her, doing whatever they did. But you know, the lessons that I learned while she was alive are numerous lessons. But it's not till she passed, and I remember so clearly the night that she passed. I was playing in a golf tournament with my youngest son, Christopher, and my mom was in a memory care unit at a facility in Rye, New York, and she was at the end of her life. We knew it was going to be any day. It was an 8-year journey for her in dementia, and you know, it's a hard thing to lose a parent. We all know it's part of life, and it's going to happen at some point. With my mom, we kind of had an idea it was days and hours. So I got a phone call from my sister-in-law, Jeannie, who couldn't find my brother, Chuck, and she said, "Hey, I'm at the home. Your mom's about to go. You really need to get over here." So Christopher and I raced over there, 15-minute drive, and she was in the room, and she said, "I'll leave and leave you two with your mom." And I remember sitting on the bed, and she was there so peaceful and so serene. And Christopher sat on one side of the bed and I sat on the other, and we both held her hand. And we just, you know, we talked to her. And I remember hospice telling me that the last thing to go when a person passes away is their hearing. So what they want to hear from you is that you're going to be okay. And I remember leaning in and talking to my mom in her ear really close, telling her, I love her, I'm going to be okay, everyone else in the family is going to be okay. You go join your dad and all the other people up there, and we're going to be fine. And Christopher and I were kind of upset. And then I remember, again, reading in a hospice book that the last thing that happens is this huge exhale of air, and then she's gone. And I remember the huge exhale of air. And then I looked at her and I felt her hand, and I couldn't get a pulse. And I said to Christopher, I think she's gone. And I also clearly remember seeing what must have been her spirit rise out of her body. And you might be watching this saying, oh, he's crazy. That's what I saw. And that's what I remember. And from that day forward, up until now, I still believe that the best part of me came from my mom and my dad. I wasn't there when my dad passed away. It's another whole long story, but he was an alcoholic, and he fell and got hurt and went to the hospital, Jeannie was the one that called me again to say your dad just passed because they couldn't give him enough of the drug you take to
Stabilize your body
against not having no alcohol. But we have lost, both of us lost our parents, but my memory now is of all the good times, which is great.
That is great. Really great. And your mom had such a long journey and struggle. And that was really hard, in comparison with, we lost my mom in 2017 after an 11-month only battle with pancreatic cancer. And it came abruptly. I was getting my hair cut in New York at the end of a work day on a Thursday. And I remember vividly my cousin, who's a nurse, called and said, your mom came in today. I said, yeah, she thinks she has an ulcer, but I think she's fine. I haven't heard from her. And she said, well, you need to know that you need to get here. And with HIPAA and all the requirements and all the laws, I can't say a lot, but I'm just telling you, pack your stuff and get here tonight. And I was like, wait, what? So I left with half a haircut and went home and grabbed Mark and our twins and our 2 dogs. Got the dogs into the kennel and drove from New York to Philadelphia, where, we went in, and she said, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how they diagnosed this. They've got to be crazy, but they think I have pancreatic cancer. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is not what I thought was going to happen. And I spent the 11-month journey with her. So it was challenging because it was fast, and yours was challenging because it was long. But my mom was incredibly humorous, very brave, pretty sarcastic, and it's hard to lose your mom. It's hard to lose anybody. But in this stage of life, we find ourselves losing people. And that was a hard one for me, really hard.
Well, you did amazing work. You tried everything under the sun to find a cure. And you dragged your mom around from hospital to hospital and doctor to doctor. And you did
up and down the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah,
they were not happy to see me coming.
Yeah. But I also remember the moment that your mom passed because I was there as well. I wasn't holding her hand. I think you...
Me and Maddie.
And your brother was there. But... she went into hospice on a Saturday and she passed away early Sunday evening. And we were all in there with a cooler of beer.
And pizza.
Her
request.
And we were watching
Penn State in their first bowl game post the whole Paterno-Sandusky issues.
Right.
So it was the first time they were in a bowl game. My mom was a huge Penn State fan. And we watched the whole thing.
Well, we watched it. I'm laughing because we were all taking turns with her, kind of sitting there and whispering in her ear like I do with my mom, how much I love you and we're going to be fine and all of that. And in the middle of the game, all of a sudden, she just passes. A nurse,
well, it was the end of the game, but yeah,
came in, took her pulse and declared her deceased. And the nurse, I remember the nurse said, "You guys can take as much time as you want." So then your brother looked at you and me and said, well, what do we do now? I said, well, have a piece of pizza and have a beer. That's what your mom wanted us to do. So we hung out a little bit longer, probably 40 minutes. And then the nurse came back and said, hey, I just want to give you guys a heads up. We need the room for someone to come in. So we gotta wrap this up. So everything kind of scurried and all of that. But I think that it was beautiful for both of us to be with our moms when they passed. That is such a gift. I have a good friend whose mom passed Friday night, and he was with her, and that's a great gift.
It is.
And what's happened now is that – so let's get to the 3 things that I learned from my parents, and it was this morning at the gym that I was talking to my trainer, and she said to me – she asked me a question. I told her what I was doing, and she said, you are one of the kindest people that I know. And I was a little embarrassed, and I said, well, not really. That's not – no. You are one of the kindest people. Immediately, my mom's face came to light because my mom was
very kind. Yeah.
The kindest person that I've ever met in so many ways. And I inherited that from her. Now, it's, after she's gone now and I think back on all my memories with everything she did, she taught me to be kind, not by telling me to be kind, by her actions.
Yeah.
So that for me is one of the greatest gifts that my mom left me, was to be a kind human.
Yeah. And, I use a lot of my mom's lessons that she left with me on the people certainly the people I mentor and certainly my girls and our kids. But probably the one that rings out that I say the most often when I say I open my mouth and my mom kind of comes out is, my mom truly, honestly, was a banker in the early 80s when women really weren't bankers in Philadelphia. And she really made a name for herself and did incredible work in the banking business and incredible leadership roles. And she used to say, I am not the smartest person in the room, but no one will outwork me.
Everybody wants to have a successful retirement. But we found 7 common mistakes that many people make that absolutely ruin their retirement.
We want to make sure you don't fall victim to them. And that's why we created the free guide for you to avoid them. Download it below.
And no one outworked you, ever.
No.
And, the beautiful thing about this, Jody has 3 beautiful daughters and successful daughters. They're a pair of 26s? Sevens and a 29.
Yeah.
And they both have great careers.
They all have
3 have great careers.
And great work ethics. And I think
I
comes...
hear Jody telling them all the time, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You don't have to be the most successful. But I tell you what, work harder than anyone else and you're going to win every single time, every single meeting, every single client call. Prepare better than anyone else.
Right. A lot of it comes down to that, the preparation. And, I watch the girls as they work through that now in their careers. And that was something that my mom instilled in me in my career. And it was good.
Both of my parents left me a gift. And it's the gift of this saying that my dad would say all the time. My mother would reinforce it is, you need to work hard. You need to play hard. And you always need to keep those who are less fortunate than you in your mind and help them. And work hard, play hard, give back to those who are less fortunate. And I've worked my whole life around that. And I volunteered, and Jody and I have been to third world countries to build homes, and we're always trying to be active in the community, whatever it might be, to help others. And I think that trait has really helped me become who I am. And I still do that. I mean, I work hard on this channel. I work hard on Retirement Transformed, and we play hard. And we still help those who are less fortunate. It's, again, one of those great gifts when I think back of everything that's good about me came from my parents. And I've now rewritten the script. My dad was an alcoholic, and I loved him dearly, and I worked with him for 25 years in business. And while there were tough moments, multiple tough moments in our life and in our relationship, I always loved him. I always respected him. And I remember near the end of his life, the struggle he was having being an alcoholic. He could not find a way out. We tried interventions. We tried all sorts of things. And he was really bad. At the end, he was drinking vodka out of his, you have a little glass at your bedside table to drink when you wake up and you're thirsty. He had vodka in it. And I remember the nurse told me, you got to get this out. And I couldn't because he kept having it shipped in. But I knew he was struggling. I knew he was suffering. I knew he was in pain. And when I got the phone call from my sister-in-law that your dad passed, I sat down, and I was at a meeting in Florida, and I had to fly home. But I sat down, and I remembered I felt such a huge relief for the fact that he now wasn't in pain anymore. And I began that very day rewriting the script that I was playing in my head, the anger I had, the disappointment I had, the frustration I had with him because he was an alcoholic. And I don't have those feelings anymore.
That's nice.
I don't like carrying that around, and I share that with my kids. I think it's important to, when your parents go, is really think about the script. It's your view. There's two sides to every story, but find a way to embrace the fact that the goodness that came out of the fact that they were your parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really nice. I think back on one of the things that I use today in this stage of life, in these discovery years, post 60, one of the things that my mom modeled and taught me and talked about quite often was, surround yourself with amazing friends and amazing girlfriends in particular. And it's hard. Mark and I have moved a lot. We've moved around a lot. But in every community that I get into, I hear those words. And I work really hard at building my network of girlfriends. And I think it's inspiring. My mom had a group. They were called the Lunch Bunch. There were 17 or 18 of them. And they met every month for lunch. And lunch would sometimes start in the morning and go through dinner. Sometimes it would literally just be lunch. But they had each other through all the good times, all the amazingly good times, and all the tough times. And that's what this phase of life really needs to be for all of us, is a place where you find community, you build community, you put yourself out there, and you surround yourself with your people. And that's a lesson that I'll never forget.
If I could rewind the clock and certainly wish my mom didn't get dementia and then Alzheimer's, but your mom and my mom are like two peas in a pod. Yeah. They were so similar, and they would have been best friends. My mom had her lunch bunch. She didn't call it that, but she had friends from kindergarten. Yeah. All the way up until the day she died.
Yeah. Friends are important.
Yeah, they really are important. So that is important. Yeah. The third thing that I've learned from my parents, and this came from my mom, is, and I know it sounds kind of silly, but never to tell a lie. And she would just say to me that she would
start by saying, Marky.
Yeah. This will come back to bite you in so many ways. There's no way to tell a lie and get away with it and try to cover it up if you have to. People will know, and it will ruin your reputation, it'll ruin your life. You'll end up carrying around regrets. So I just can't lie because of my mom.
Right.
I have a tough time even exaggerating. I do it sometimes, but even while I'm doing it, I'm feeling guilty about it. So that, for me, is a good trait. I don't think lying is helpful in any way. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So that's the third thing that I learned from my mom, for sure.
Yeah, the third thing that I learned, we actually have it as a tagline for our family. Our kids use it. We have it on Yetis. We have it on towels. We have it on sweatshirts. My mom used to always end with, I love you, no callbacks.
And then she would hang up.
Which meant she got the last word. She had the most love. She was given the most love. She loved the deepest. And so we all say that now. We're like, love you, no callbacks, click. And it's in every text. It's on everything. And it's like a mantra of sorts.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Nice of you to share that.
It's hard to share.
I know. And, 3 lessons each, there's 10.
Yeah,
there's 20.
For sure.
But these are 3 that really, when we actually sat down this morning and said, hey, let's do this video. We don't really have a long script, but let's just talk about it because it's really how we feel about our parents.
Absolutely.
Leave in the comments below, what's one thing that you learned from your parents that you want to share with us?
That you still use today, you implement in this stage of life, for sure.
We've made a lot of mistakes in our retirement, and we've seen a lot of other retirees do the same. We want to help you avoid them.
That's why we've created a free download, 5 steps to save you 20 years of a miserable retirement. Download it below.
Our team put together some questions last minute for us this morning. They scoured YouTube. Here's one from Carol from Phoenix, who said, how did losing your parents change your view of retirement and who you are now?
I fully anticipated to retire with my mom. My mom was not much older than me. She was 18 years older than me. So I fully anticipated to retire with her, doing things with her, and her is a big part of my retirement.
For me, my mom, again, got dementia. That's just a curse that comes your way. And I don't think there's a lot you can do about it. There are some, things you can do health-wise, which I really think about a lot. My dad, with his alcoholism, I don't drink anymore. And that's been a long time coming. It's been on and off for 10 years. And now I don't. And I feel better because of it. So I think they both are inspiration for me in this phase of life to do all that I can to work on my health, my relationships, my wisdom, my, giving back, play hard, work hard, and have fun. Take care of those less fortunate. So those are the memories I have. Do you ever wish, this is from Maria from Santa Fe, do you ever wish you had asked your parents more before they passed? And how do you deal with that? Well, sure. Now that they're gone, I wish that I had sat down with them and done a video and asked them about their life. And frankly, it's something I think about. Should I sit down and start filming 1-minute video clips every day for my kids and do 60 of them? And just 60 little lessons. So it's an hour video that they can watch. Maybe I should do that.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I wish they were here. At times we talk about that. We say if my mom was here, she'd say that. If your mom was here, she'd say that. So we definitely work hard at having positive memories of our parents, even though you can certainly conjure up negative ones.
I can't really conjure up any negative ones of my mom, to be honest.
Okay.
You can't of your mom.
No, probably not my mom.
Definitely
my dad.
not.
Okay, another question. Oh my gosh, it's a good question. What helped you face the overwhelm of sorting through your parents' belongings after they passed? That's Elaine from Sarasota. Worst nightmare on the planet
is to really
leave
hard
stuff for your kids. Just don't. My parents had a complete home. Furniture, plates, china from her parents, stuff she'd want to throw out, sets of silver, books, hundreds of books, stuff up in the attic. It took my sister, my brother, and I, and Jody a month to clean that house out. We donated as much as we could. In the end, we had to get a dumpster. It was really hard. We've done quite a few videos on downsizing because we learned it the hard way. Constantly be purging your stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And updating your things. I think one of the biggest things my mom left of value was, we have 1,000 100-wheel cassettes of, of photographs.
Slides.
On the slides. And she always thought, like, maybe I'll send them away. Maybe I'll get them, repurposed, updated. And she never did. And you don't want to get rid of those, but we don't really know what to do with them either. And so we have to take it upon ourselves to really update that. Other than that, my mom was pretty much a minimalist. She didn't have a lot of stuff and things. That wasn't her bag. Her bag was more like friends and relationships. And she left me with a lot of those friends and relationships that I still keep in touch with today, even all these years since she's passed. But it is hard when you're left with mountains of stuff and things.
Yeah, it's definitely
and we did
a
have
problem.
that with your parents.
This is from Ron in Columbus. Is it normal to still feel emotionally flat or disconnected years after losing a parent?
Well, if you watch this video, you saw how emotional I get. I still feel emotionally triggered by the loss of my mom because it did happen so fast and so unexpected. But
I think it's a heartfelt, warm emotion. It's not bitter or sadness.
No,
right?
I mean, I'm sad.
Sure.
I mean, sure. And my pop is sad, but my kids are sad and, all the things. But I think that grief has no timeline. I really honestly believe it depends on you as a person, your relationship, how far and deep and wide it went. And you just can't put a timeline on it. So whatever you're still feeling, I think you have the right to feel.
And I think for all of us, for Jody and I, and for you guys watching too, thinking of your legacy, because our parents left a legacy, and we're talking about that, is that there's this old saying that says, live every day like it's your last. I don't believe that. I believe we all need to live every day like it's our first, and wake up and try to be happy and proud and kind and thoughtful and work hard and play hard and help those that are less fortunate. Whatever your mantra is, I love you, no calls backs. You know, that's how we have to live our life today. And then tomorrow we get to do it again. Maybe. But live today like it's your first day and live it with energy and purpose and passion.
And wonder.
And wonder
Yeah.
and curiosity. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
If you like this video,
You're going to love this next one too.
I'd really like you to go deeper in your faith. Okay, thanks, Mom. That's what you're going to leave me with. Now that I've been on kind of a 2-year journey on faith, I'm realizing how important it is to me now and how important it could have been to me had I done it at a younger age.